On this episode of Cape Media News, lifeguards show off their skills in the 44th annual lifeguard competition. We head out on the Bass River with Brian Weiner, Executive Director of the Friends of Bass River, and we take a look back at the Brazen Belles Burlesque. These stories and more. This is Cape Media News. This is Cape Media News, your local authentic newscast for Cape Cod. I'm Sarah Colvin. We begin today with word from the Army Corps of Engineers and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. Work on the Bourne Bridge planned for this fall has been pushed to next spring. Mass DOT and the Army Corps have also signed a memorandum of understanding to continue conversations about inspection, maintenance, and future project development regarding the Bourne and Sagamore bridges. The Army Corps and Mass DOT are in the final stages of study on the bridges with the goal of possible eventual replacement. Time now to hit the beach for the 44th Annual Lifeguard Championship held last Friday at Craigville Beach in Barnstable.
When Cape Cod lifeguards aren't saving lives, they're preparing for the annual Lifesaving Championship, this year hosted by the town of Barnstable.
The town of Barnstable is hosting the event this year, which we're very lucky to do. This is the 44th annual and my 44th annual. It's turning into a bigger event every year.
We have trophies for first place, medals for second and third place. Then we have two divisions. There's non-surf, which is south-facing towns such as Barnstable, Yarmouth, Dennis, and then the surf division, which is Nauset, the National Seashore, Truro, Wellfleet. The top team gets the most points, and then it works its way down.
The competition tests local lifeguards on their strength and stamina and gives them the chance to see where they stack up against other local lifeguards.
Today I'm doing 5 events. I'm doing the paddle relay, the swim relay, the Iron Woman relay, the Iron Woman, and the paddle rescue for girls. I competed for town of Barnstable for a number of years, and this is my first year with the National Seashore.
This will probably be my 9th year competing. I'm doing the Iron Woman, the swim relay, the paddle relay, the victim for the paddle rescue, and the swim in the Iron Woman relay.
I'm not a super competitive person, so this is kind of just a good time, a chance to meet other lifeguards and kind of get out in the sun and kind of see how I do.
Lifeguards train every day for this event.
For the National Seashore, every morning we have an hour mandatory workout, which you can do just about anything as long as you're working out. So usually I'll do an Iron Woman, which is a run, a paddle, and a swim just about every morning, or I'll do some weight work.
Yeah, I paddle, for fun, and I surf, and I enjoy beach running. So nothing too crazy, just kind of keeping in shape.
Mostly in the mornings we'll practice a lot in the various rip currents, or we'll practice the various skills like CPR, backboarding, kind of stuff like that, or we'll do first aid stuff too.
The goal of the Lifesaving Championship is to help local lifeguards practice what they are trained to do: save lives.
We just had an active drowning. We just pulled them in. So it's happening pretty regularly across the Cape. And people don't realize because, an active drowning, they come up, they're fine, they're able to handle it. But if the lifeguard weren't there, it could be a tragic event. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't swim where there's a lifeguard. The risk is a little less if you swim where there's a lifeguard because they're there and they're trained to help.
A national lifeguard shortage has increased the need to hire and train skilled lifeguards on Cape Cod.
It's definitely the best job you can have in the summer.
They get trained, they have to take a lifeguard training class. We offer it here at Craigville. Most towns on the Cape offer it. Obviously, you need to be able to swim and you need to be able to stay fit, but you've got to have a lot of interpersonal skills. You need to be able to handle people on a regular basis, first aid. A majority of what we do is first aid and talking to people and making sure they understand that the rules are set up so that everybody can have an enjoyable day at the beach and be safe.
For the 10th year in a row, the town of Barnstable lifeguards won the non-surf division. For Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson.
And congratulations to our Barnstable lifeguards for winning their 10th consecutive championship. Time now to head back out on the water, this time on the Bass River. The Friends of Bass River are hard at work educating the public on the issues impacting the river. We took a boat ride with Brian Weiner. He's the new executive director of the Friends of Bass River. Let's hit the water. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Colvin with Cape Media News, and we are here out on the Bass River on a nice mid-August Cape Cod day with the Executive Director of the Friends of Bass River, Brian Weiner. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for coming here to the river.
So, of course, we thought it would be fitting, right, to do an interview about the Bass River on the Bass River. So tell me a little bit about how you've progressed since you became Executive Director earlier this year.
Well, it's been a great busy period. I mean, since I started, I've been able to engineer 7 major events for our members and their friends. And we just completed a membership drive that is getting great results for us. But more than anything else, we've really elevated the level of enthusiasm. So people are active, they're talking about it, they're engaged. And that was really my goal, to get people passionate about what we're doing here.
Of course, and what you're doing is, of course, not only raising awareness about the river, but talking about the issues that impact the river. And of course, looking around, it's hard to imagine that the river is in trouble, but certainly it is threatened. There are high nitrogen levels. So talk to me about some of the most pressing issues that you're trying to help solve.
Well, you know, like we look around, we came out here today as we were driving out. There are a lot of homes that right now they're being occupied. They're seasonal properties and their seasonal owners are here. And they have a lot of friends, a lot of activity. We saw lots of cars on their driveways and their lawns. That impact is the effluent coming to the river that increases the nitrogen levels. And so nitrogen invariably peaks during the summertime because there's just a huge amount of traffic here. The problem with that is, while the river is wonderful and everyone is enjoying it, that enjoyment flows out in a byproduct that ultimately kills the river everybody loves. And so I think our goal is to get people more engaged and aware so that just as they love this river, they can protect it and make sure it's going to be here for their children and their grandchildren.
So what would you say are some things people can do to help reduce that nitrogen level in the river?
Well, I think if the government were to step in, for example, the government might mandate that you have to have your septic system pumped every 24 months. But that's frankly just good home ownership. If you own a home, whether it's a seasonal or a year-round, pumping every 24 months is just good business, because when you ultimately want to sell it, your Title V is going to be clean and clear and you're going to have a lot less issues. Beyond that, an awful lot of people use state-approved biological agents that they add to their septic systems that reduce the nitrogen outflow. Also, I think that it's good home ownership, good investment intelligence to use a professional firm if you live near water to take care of your fertilization, because in all the years I did it myself, I over-fertilized my property. Then I hired a professional and they were far more careful in what they did. And then I think the third and final thing is just you have to think about what you're putting into your water. I buy for my home environmentally friendly products so that they have minimal amount of impact. They break down, minimal nitrogen outflows, so they work just as well in the shower and in the sink and in the dishwasher, but the impact on the system and the environment is far reduced. Those 3 things alone will make a big difference.
So let's talk a little bit about the Bass River Bridge. Of course, we can see that in the background. It's been here for a long time and certainly is well overdue for an upgrade, which we hear is going to happen in 2020. So as you tell me, it's not just a bridge replacement project. You're hoping this is going to raise awareness across the river. So talk to me a little bit about the project and what's in store and how you are hoping will kind of expand people's view on the bridge.
Well, I think the bridge construction is a call to action for everybody. It's a major, vital artery, but it also it separates this psychological north river south of the bridge kind of mindset. I think a lot of people, when I've talked to potential friends and new friends and some of our friends here on this side of the bridge, their concern is that our interests really only support those people who live on the southern side of the bridge, and that's just not true. If anything, I'm more interested in what goes on above the bridge because it's all heading out to the ocean. Beyond that, though, we know that the bridge reconstruction is going to enhance the flow. They're going to dredge and increase flow beyond that. I think everybody is going to be attuned for a 2-year period to what's going on here at the river, and that's a really great thing.
What have you learned from the people who live and work on this river and care about the Bass River?
Well, I think the one thing I've learned for certain is everybody who lives on or near this river has an opinion about this river. And whether they're a part of our organization or not, they have clearly defined passionate interest in what happens here. There is no lack of interest in making certain this river stays healthy. I would love to take that energy, muster it, funnel it, and keep it on a very narrow single vertical so that we can all work together to make certain that this river is healthy and vital for our kids and our grandkids.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for doing this little talk out on the beautiful Bass River.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, we'll take a look back at International Women's Day.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
For the next few weeks, Cape Media News will be taking a look at the issues that mattered so far in 2018. International Women's Day was held in March, and the Cape community gathered for a breakfast. Cape Media News was there.
As we come marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient song of bread. Small art and love and beauty their drudging spirits knew. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too.
The theme of resiliency was on display Friday as a large group of women braved the wind and rain to attend the 5th annual International Women's Day breakfast in Hyannis.
For women on Cape Cod, there are challenges that are unique, and I think the housing, sustainable employment, childcare, there are so many issues that I think women focus, so many issues that people feel are women focused. They're really family and men, they affect everybody, but I think they profoundly affect women on the Cape, and if we're not coming together in groups to solve those problems, we won't solve those problems. You know, sometimes we get in our lane and our fight, and we've been spending years, and not just a couple of years or 5 years or 10 years, 50, 100 years, fighting for, our voices in government and to be heard and to vote. And we have motivation and energy in our movement, but there are a lot of distractions that can pull us away from this. For Cape Women's Coalition, over 5 years ago, we realized that the power of the International Women's Day, which is celebrated everywhere in the world except in the United States, as almost a national holiday. And we felt, wait a minute, we can celebrate women here on Cape Cod through this event as well. And we believe in the power of women working together, and we thought that this would be a great way to do that.
State Representative Sarah Peak encouraged women to press on in their civic engagement.
As you push against that wall, as you work for those values that we all hold dear, just as you're thinking, oh, when is something going to happen? Is this anything that I'm ever going to have an influence on? It seems almost as though magically, although it's not magic, it's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, continuing to have that focus and have that dedication, but it feels as though magically that door that has been closed, that you've been knocking on from the outside, suddenly it opens up and you can walk through.
Speakers shared their stories of resiliency and overcoming challenges.
I don't know, I've been through a lot, and I just want everyone to know that a lot of women go through a lot. And some of us aren't able to do what we can, but for those of us who are able, we need to be out there, we need to advocate, we need to make sure that the ADA isn't gutted, we need to make sure that our environment is safe for our children, we need to make sure that our women are able to make the reproductive choices they can, and we need to make sure that every single person has the economic freedom to be everything that they can be. I want the narrative that is often out there, a lot of it is negative. I want there to be a different narrative, that there are positive things going on, that there are things that you can do, and it requires you to be active and vocal. We need people to know that there are others going through those same struggles and that it's okay to speak out. We need you to speak out. Your town councilors need to know what their constituents are going through, so do your representatives. So I just want to make it clear that there are people out here that are struggling and you need to know about it. You're an elected representative. What are you going to do?
Women were strongly encouraged to participate on the local level.
Women bring a different voice They bring a different set of attitudes and thoughts, and I think that they help move the process forward in a way that just having men involved does not happen. Best way to get involved is to do a couple of things. One is read the newspaper. One is watch what is happening on your town website. And another is to go to things like Board of Selectmen's meetings. Get involved. Just reading the newspaper, reading your town warrant, going to town meeting. These are the things that you can do. They're small steps, and you can do them, and they don't take a whole lot of time.
I think that women have an enormous amount of support here, and I think in the time that I've lived here over the 15 years, I've seen more and more women's groups come together to support each other around either specific issues or the idea of getting involved in local government and starting to understand with the rest of the world that our voices can make a change in policies and the way that our countries run.
The International Women's Day breakfast held at the Doubletree in Hyannis was sponsored by the Cape Women's Coalition. And continuing our theme of women's empowerment, a local dance troupe is strutting their stuff and bringing an old school form of entertainment back to the stage. Gabrielle Rawson caught up with the Brazen Belles Burlesque.
Winters on Cape Cod are not as cold as they once were thanks to Cape Cod's only burlesque troupe, the Brazen Belles. We met up with them on Valentine's Eve at the Highfield Theater as they were preparing for their annual Valentees. Founder Agnes Hirschfield opened up to us.
I am Agnes Hirschfield. My stage name is Pepper Grinds, and I founded the Brazen Belles Burlesque in 2011, and we started performing in April of 2012. Now everybody, if you're in the game, within the strokes of one. We've had so many people come to our show and say, I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous, I was scared, I came, and I'm so thankful that I did. I'm gonna come back forever.
My stage name is Sundown Shenanigans, and I've been with the troupe since it started. I actually went to high school with the founder. We ran into each other over 5 years ago, and she said, hey, I remember you being funny in high school. You wanna join a burlesque troupe? And I said, sure. What's burlesque?
The centuries-old art of burlesque has its roots in theatrical parody. Simply translated, burlesque means joke or mockery. The Brazen Belles have elevated this classic art form by blending cabaret-style striptease, comedic dance, and even opera.
I think most people also hear the word and then they hear striptease, and then they think that, you know, we're just putting on a show for men, because, you know, a lot of times what we're used to us like stripping, you know, is in a strip club, and most of the strip clubs that we've been exposed to have been like very male centric.
So I joined the troupe like a little over 5 years ago. Bobby started off as like the very nerdy, because I feel like it's very easy for me to be silly and funny before sexy. It was hard for me at first to be like, all right, so I can hide behind that. And so she was always kind of tripping, and she was very like, all my numbers were like, you know, knee socks and like funny and studious and kind of a parody of like the nerdy girl. She's still the same, I think. Like, she's definitely like the nerd of the troupe, but has gotten a lot more confident and fierce. We're similar, but she's definitely more ballsy than I am, I think.
Personal empowerment and body positivity are just two of the important messages the Brazen Belles hope audiences take with them after a show.
So my stage name is Lacey Stiletto.
I'm Sylvie Bullitt.
Okay. We both have 2 kids at home.
Around the same age, 6 and 8.
Yeah, during the day I'm mom.
Lacey Stiletto! Sylvie Bullitt! It's like we preach this to moms that come up to us after shows. We're like, listen, you don't just have to be a mom.
the biggest part for me is just to reaching women and letting them know that, you know, we're all beautiful no matter what size, shape you are, color. You know, we're burlesque is diverse, and so is obviously so are women.
I think it's very important for the audience to know that we're having fun and we're not faking it, and we're genuinely happy to be up there and making people laugh, making people smile, even if it's just, you know, 2 hours out of someone's life that, you know, they're not thinking about everything else that's going on in this crazy world, then we've done our job.
For Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson.
And if you'd like to check out the Brazen Belles, their summer striptacular is taking place from August 22nd through the 25th at the Cotuit Center for the Arts. You can visit artsonthecape.org for tickets and more information. Next week on Cape Media News, we'll continue to take a look back at 2018. We'll bring you to the Hyannis Women's March, get up to date with Vineyard Wind, and check progress on the Cape Cod Rail Trail, just to name a few. You can stay up to date with us online. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, and of course on our website, capemedia.org. For Cape Media News, I'm Sarah Colvin.